Hello viewers, here is a Hampton Bay branded rechargeable LED table lamp. I think this is more of a store number than an actual model number, but this is the only identifying information that's on the box. 886379. There it is, the Hampton Bay logo, or the high stop. This is something I got back in the mid-2000s. The unit itself here has the year 2007. That seems about right. I think we probably got this in the summer of 2007. And I remember this thing vividly. I used to use this. I had a little patio sitting area bench type thing that I built in the backyard by the stream that ran through the backyard at the first house we lived in. There is a video, it's an archive series. The title of the video should be something like From the Archives, The Stream, or something like that. And it's a video I took probably around the same time I was using this lantern of the area. So if you want to see what it looks like, you can take a look at that video. And the table that you'll see in that video that I built is where I would use this. I would take this outside and use it at night in that area. And this has actually been used quite a bit over the years. I used it at that house in that location. And then at the old location, I used to use it in the patio area that I built behind the gardens. And then I use it here out on the deck or in other places in the yard when I have dinner outside. Here's a look at the box. It has seen better days, but it is still with us. It's a low voltage, safe for outdoor use, rechargeable LED table lamp. And the graphics are a little strange. It's just a lamp floating in midair in front of what looks like a pretty expensive house. On the back of the box, we have some dimensions. It's 9 inches tall by 7 inches wide. I do have the 55-inch power cord for this somewhere. I've used it since I've lived in this house, so I know it's here. I was not able to locate it for this video. I did a quick search in a couple spots where I thought it would be, and I couldn't come up with it, which I'm a little disappointed by because I did want to get it on video, but I don't have it here demo in this video. This is where it would have plugged in. Plugs in there. And there's a nice rubber coating over the rubber flap over here to keep the plug dry. And then this is a light emitting diode here. If I recall correctly, it flashes red while it's charging and then goes green when it's fully charged or charge completed, depending on what era of Panasonic cordless phone you prefer. It does make a pretty big deal about it being LED, and in its defense, in this timeline, that was pretty significant. In the 2000s, LED as something other than just an indicator was still a pretty new concept, so the fact that this was DEL as opposed to incandescent was worth advertising and might have made a sale over some other product at the time. It's actually a pretty cool graphics on there, all things considered. This is back when LED was kind of neat still and did not just turn into a complete race to the bottom and all the products just turned to garbage. There is a no rust guarantee, and as far as I can tell, that guarantee has held up over the last 20 years, and it is satisfaction guaranteed. I have no idea what kind of backing that actually has. Actually, that logo is the Hampton Bay lighthouse on there. But despite not knowing how they would actually back the satisfaction, I am absolutely satisfied with this light, and I have been for the last 19 years that I've used it. Hampton Bay. On the next side of the box, we have another graphic of the pretty expensive house, which I guess would only be expensive depending on what region it's in, but if it's in this region it would be very expensive, and the light is just floating in the front yard. It says 10 to 12 hour operation when fully charged. I'm not sure why the runtime couldn't be pinned down to a smaller window than that. Something like this, which is just on or off and the load doesn't change, you should be able to tell exactly how long it would run on the batteries, especially that it comes with 6 super bright white LEDs. And they're more of a cool white. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a nice warm glow like it's depicted on the image there. 3 rechargeable nickel metal hydride batteries included. Antique vanilla finish, delicious. Etched opal glass. I'm not really sure what that means. I don't see anything fancy about this shade. Charger with 55-inch cord, which is included and temporarily misplaced. And there's the dimensions once again. And if you only speak Spanish, hopefully you have very good eyes, because the contrast of the Spanish writing is absolutely atrocious. This side of the box repeats the same stuff. Unfortunately, the contrast is much better for those of us Spanish speakers. And here's the top of the box, which is pretty yellowed. So this must have been sitting in the, or not yellowed, it's faded. So this must have been sitting in the store for quite some time under the fluorescent lighting. And it absolutely would have been fluorescent lighting at the time. It's not DEL lighting yet. And then here's the bottom of the box, which doesn't really have much to note, other than the fact that it was distributed by the Home Depot. There's no indication of what the OEM was for this, and I really have no idea what the OEM was. Unfortunately, recycling programs for this corrugated package may not exist in my area. Rats. Let's move on to the lamp itself. First, I will take it apart so you can see what the DELs look like inside. I don't know why this comes apart, because there's nothing serviceable inside, but the top screws off like this. And then we have to remove these little things here, which will definitely have a tendency to go flying across the floor if not handled carefully. Once all those pieces are removed, this drops down like this, and the top becomes removable. And here's what powers it. A collection of DELs on a circuit board. That's all there is to it. It's a very, very simple apparatus. And this is becoming kind of loose here. Or is that just the way that it is? No, now it's tight. I'll switch on the DELs. Let's see if they're all working. I don't even know. Yep, they are all still working. All 6 of them. And there is no flicker. They're just on. Which is the way it should be. I don't know why so much of the stinking DEL stuff today flickers when it's a battery operated. It should just be DC current. Why the heck is it? Whatever. So as you can see, it's not exactly a nice kind of soft white color as depicted on the box. Rather, it's more of a probably 4,000 to 5,000, I'll say maybe around 4,000 K color. It's not super harsh, but it's not exactly super pleasant either. We'll put this back together now. Oh, plastic, or not plastic, that's kind of like a paper material on there. And then we have to put all these things back in place. I really don't understand why this is able to come apart. It just doesn't. There's nothing in there that you would service. But no complaints. I'm glad it does come apart, because if it ever does break, then we can take it apart. Or if, you know, if you wanted to change out the DELs to a different color, you could do that as well. I would kind of like to, but at the same time, if we change the color of the DELs, then this is no longer going to be as nostalgic as it is now. and that would be a bummer. So we're probably going to leave the DELs as they are. Unless, of course, if I find another one, then maybe we'll convert that one to warm white or even amber DELs if possible. So once that's all screwed on there, I'm not sure what this hot glue is in there for. We just screw the top back on like this. And of course, as you screw this on, it does get all scratched up on the bottom. Not that it really matters because you can't see it anyways, but that is a little bit ridiculous. Now we'll take a closer look at the finish. This is called Antique Vanilla Finish. It's kind of like speckled. It's a nice finish. It needs to be cleaned off. It's very dusty. Like I said, this has been in use for the better portion of 2 decades. And despite all that use, it's still in pretty good shape. It's spent many nights outside. I don't leave it out in the rain or anything like that, but certainly it's been out in the evening and it gets the dew on it and so forth. And just like it says, there's no rust. It's got a nice felt base on it, doesn't scratch any tables. And it uses regular AA nickel metal hydride batteries. So when they wear out, you can just replace them. Brilliant. Or if you're using it and it runs out of charge and you want to continue using it, you can just swap in a new set of batteries. Brilliant. Here is the on-off switch, or the condesk switch, which will shut it on or off. And then there's the power input that we talked about before. The on, the off. You have to wonder, if this was made today, how bad of a product would this be? This thing would be such a piece of garbage if this was built today, because it would have to have a stupid integrated lithium battery, and it's going to be glued in place and soldered and just non-standard and non-replaceable. And then of course all the safety issues that can follow, because most of these cheap electronic devices that we get today that are imported are built to unknown quality standards and don't have UL, ETL, etc. safety ratings, and are really just really dodgy, questionable, potentially unsafe products, yet for some reason they still fly off the shelves like there's no tomorrow and nothing wrong with them. Don't understand that at all. And while we're talking about stupid lithium batteries, why is it that everything today has to have a stinking lithium battery? There are so many devices sold today that don't require a stinking lithium battery. Something like this is the perfect example. This is very low power draw. It's just a couple of light emitting diodes. Why does it need a lithium battery when the nickel metal hydride battery is perfectly adequate? Sure, there's some advantages to the lithium batteries. There's a higher energy density, so you can get more power for the size, but you don't need that in this case. And so many of these small lithium batteries that come in these junk devices nowadays are low capacity. You could very easily build a nickel metal hydride pack that works just the same. And certainly with something like this, weight is not an issue, because this is very heavy. It's probably 2 or 3 pounds. It's made of glass and metal. The batteries might be the lightest thing on there besides the little diode circuit board. Unfortunately, this came with nickel metal hydride, but nothing today seems to come with anything but stinking lithium. And then of course the stinking diodes would be soldered in place and glued and unable to be changed. Not that this is going to, like, it's not modular. The average user is not taking this apart and changing it, but if you're handy with a soldering iron, you could very easily replace the diodes in this if this failed. And it would probably flicker if it was modern too. I can't tell you how many LED flashlights made in more recent times I've used that flicker, and you try to film a video shining a flashlight on something to show it better, and you can't use the camera with it because the flicker is so bad. This is perfect. It's just diodes running off DC current from batteries. No flicker. It just plain works. So if this was made today, it would have to be, oh, it's rechargeable, and it's USB, and it's lithium, and I don't get the USB. I haven't understood the USB for years. Why is all this stuff USB powered? It's only what, myself and 14 other people on the face of the planet that still use a computer? USB ports aren't even around anymore. Why the heck would you want stuff powered off of a USB port? This comes with a wall wart, plugs into the regular 120 volt AC outlet that's everywhere. Perfect, convenient, easy to use. The batteries are swappable, they're replaceable. If you're running it and it runs out of charge, put in new batteries. I get people all the time that come here, why would you want batteries? They should be rechargeable because then it's eco-friendly and you don't want to use batteries. Well, if you had something that's only rechargeable in the sense that the battery is a non-standard integrated, glued in, soldered in battery, you can't change it out. When it runs out of charge, you can't keep using it. This is the best of both worlds. It's rechargeable, and if you have a situation where you want to keep using it for longer, you just swap out the batteries. Like a flashlight, for example. I would never use a flashlight with a non-standard lithium battery in it, because if I need to use the flashlight and it runs out of charge, oh, now all of a sudden it becomes useless. Whereas if I have my 6-cell mag light, I can put rechargeable batteries in it, and if they run out of charge and I still need to keep using the flashlight, I can swap in a different set of rechargeable batteries. Or if I'm away from a battery charger, I can go to almost any store, like a convenience store or a hardware store or whatever, and buy a set of regular stupid alkaline Leca-cell D batteries in a pinch and use those instead. It keeps the options open, so I don't know why you want to be tethered to this stupid lithium garbage, but anyways, neither here nor there. And on the topic of charging, it's actually quite often that I do end up just opening this up and taking the batteries out and charging them in the Ansman refresher, because the charging circuitry in here is very likely a dumb charger in the sense that it probably just analyzes the voltage as a whole, and that's not good for the batteries, because the batteries are going to discharge unevenly and they're going to recharge unevenly, so you're going to end up with 3 batteries that are really at separate charges, which you don't want. Charging batteries is one of the rare situations where it's best to have an electronic device that monitors each battery independently and can charge each one appropriately. Rarely do I prefer electronic devices, but battery chargers is one of those rare situations. So, I think that's about all there is to say on this lantern. I used this today for the first time this year while I was having dinner on the deck. That's why I figured today we'll make the video. I've been meaning to make a video on this for a couple years, and now it just seemed to be the right time. So, pretty nice piece. It's not the brightest thing out there. Let me shut the lights off right quick here to show. It's not super bright, but it's good enough to just, you know, if you're having a meal here, let's say this is my dinner, you can see it. It's not blinding, but it's certainly enough to light up a table, and not really conducive to carrying it around because you don't have a good handle, but it's enough to walk across the yard with or something if you wanted to use it in that type of use case as well. So, I don't know if there's even an equivalent product like this today. There probably isn't, because it's all just cheap junk, and I feel like the use case for something like this is a bygone era. You know, stuff like this was a product during simpler times, and now I don't even think most people would want this because, oh, there's a flashlight on my iPhone. Well, guess what? That's another stupid, dumb, inbuilt lithium battery. When it runs out, you're done. So get something like this instead, because you can swap out the batteries when it runs out of charge. And this is not planned obsolescence. It's a universal part. The wear item, the batteries, is a universal part. You can still buy them to this day, 20 years later.